Hello, my name is Alaric Jackson, and today I am going to talk about a few, well, not a few topics, but one topic in general. I'm going to talk about the future perfect, technically, yeah, future perfect. Um, with this future perfect, well, there's a lot to talk about, but I'm going to make it a little short because this is just an example of a class I'm doing. So I just want you guys to kind of get the gist of what I'm gonna do in the class. Okay. So give me a second and I am going to show you what future perfect is. Now, future perfect is a tense that we use for certain things. So future perfect, if I can go down, this lesson is about future continuous and future perfect. But we're going to talk about future perfect. Um, future perfect is very interesting though. The future perfect, um, a that it refers to an event that will happen at a specific point in the future. Um, so for here it says it can help to think of a student in high school when referring to something that occurred during the high school career. They would say, I will have finished high school volleyball by the time I graduate in June of 2025. Now, here I have examples. You can see this chart. For example, the scheme of it, the way we use it is we use will have, which is the auxiliary verb for future, will and have, and then we use the past participle. The past participle is like with regular verbs it's the ed, with irregular verbs it's the past participle that we use or substitute for the past. When we don't use just the past simple, we use the past participle. It's a little bit different. But today we're not going to talk about the past participle. We're just going to talk about future perfect. For example, we can say by tomorrow, by next week, by 2050. That's how we know we're going to use a past perfect or future perfect. Lo siento, future perfect. By this time tomorrow, by this time next week, by the time plus the subject plus the verb you arrive, in 2 weeks, in 5 years, when, before, etc., etc. For example, um, actions finished before sometime in the future. For example, we had I had finished my work, which is the past perfect, which is yesterday at this time. So yeah, yesterday at this time, and then before that time. Then right now, I have finished my work at the time of speaking. We're talking an event that happened that finished before we were speaking. I will have finished my work. So we're talking about a certain time in the future, but before that time happens, before it completes, we're gonna finish this work. Duration of a situation until sometime in the future. I will have been married for 20 years. So that's like you can see the chart, it just goes all the way. And then, you have the present perfect, which is I had been married for 10 years. At the time of speaking, that's how long you've been married. And then I had been married for 8 years, 2 years ago, up to 2 years ago. Future perfect use, the use of it. For example, actions finished in the future. We use the future perfect for actions that will be finished before a certain time in the future. By 2050, researchers will have found a cure for cancer. By this time next year, I'll have graduated. When you arrive tomorrow, we'll have left. Duration until sometime in the future. So we use the future perfect to talk about the duration of a situation until a certain time in the future. By the time I leave, I will have been in England for 6 months. In 2 years, we will have been married for 20 years. And there's signal words, like I mentioned before. As you can see the examples above, we often use a future perfect with time expressions such as by, by tomorrow, by next week, by the end of the year, by this time, in 2 weeks, or in 5 years, when, before. By time expression means not later than, at, or before a certain time. Now, because we had the gist of what future perfect is, let us do some examples. What we're going to do. For example, when we arrive in Los Angeles, we'll need to rest before we what? Will be driving about 800 miles, will have driven, or will drive. So what we would use here is we would use will have, so we'll have about 800 miles. Yep. When we arrive in Los Angeles, we need to rest before, because we will have driven about 800 miles, because in this sentence we're using the future perfect. We're not using the continuous, but we're using the future perfect, because this lesson is about future continuous and future perfect. Will have driven. The next one, by the time you arrive, I will what? Something spectacular and dinner will be on the table waiting for you. I will cook something spectacular and dinner will be on the table waiting for you. Will have cooked something spectacular and dinner will be on the table waiting for you, or will be cooking. If we would use will have cooked in the situation, because look at it, it says, well, I will have cooked something spectacular and dinner will be on the table waiting for you. So it's saying that something that the food will be waiting. Está esperando hasta el momento que ellos llegaron. No, number 3, when you get off the train, we what? Will wait for you on the platform. Will be waiting for you on the platform. Will have waited for you on the platform. No, will be waiting. The reason why this is future continuous is because it's not an event that happened before, or will happen before the time that you arrive. Is that it's continuing. So in the future, it will be happening at the moment. Number 4, we will be leaving on the first train next Monday, will have left on the first train next Monday, or will leave on the first train next Monday. This, I believe, is the continuous. We will be leaving on the first train next Monday, because we're saying next Monday. Or we can say we'll have left on the first train next Monday. But I'm not too positive about this one, because sometimes you can use both. So let's look at this a little bit more. We will on the next train. So let's go back to the chart, the explanation. Next Monday. Let's go to, for example, this is continuous. This is future continuous. So here you can see the words that they use. This time tomorrow, this time next week, at 2 weeks, in 2 weeks, 2 weeks time. So look here, we'll be coming next weekend, but here it doesn't have it. So by tomorrow, by next week, this time next week, it's similar. No, you can use both. So for example, by this time, in, when, stuff like that, in, when, next, but this only has next. On the first train next Monday. We will be leaving on the next train next Monday. When I travel to England next year, I will study English for over 4 years, so I think I'll be ready. Will be studying, or will have studied? I will have studied. I will have studied, because it's saying like up to that time they will have studied. Please come at 8. By that time, I will have finished my homework, will be finishing my homework, will finish my homework, and we can go out. It's will have finished because it says by that time. So it's using a word that is a defining word. Okay, number 7. I'm sure when you call him, he what? He'll watch TV. He's always in front of the TV. He'll be watching TV, or will have watched TV. Well, this is continuous future, future continuous, because it's saying he's always in front of the TV. So I'm sure when you call him, he will be watching TV. 8. We're visiting a new city every week. By the end of the summer, we what? Will visit all the most important cities in Europe. Will be visiting, or will have visited. We are visiting a new city every week. By the end of summer, we what? will have visited all the most important cities in Europe. 9, in less than 2 years, my grandparents will have been married for 50 years, will be married for 50 years, or will be getting married for 50 years. In less than 2 years, my grandparents what? Will have been married. Will have been married for 50 years. I'm cleaning the kitchen. By the time you arrive, it what? By the time I'm cleaning the kitchen. By the time you arrive, it what? Will be spotless. Will be spotless. This is just a normal word. We don't say I'm cleaning the kitchen. By the time you arrive, it will being spotless. No, it will have been spotless. By the time you arrive, it will be spotless. It'll be spotless. Will have been spotless. We don't normally say will have been spotless. By the time you arrive, it will have been, but maybe we'll have to use this one. And so we have 9 out of 10. Let me see which one was incorrect. It's probably will have been. Yep, it was will be. The correct was I was correct the first time. And the reason why I doubted myself is because we're using present continuous and no future continuous and future perfect. But that's fine. Está bien. Es que el problema fue eso, es que eso es incorrecto. Antes yo estaba correcto porque normalmente decimos will be, no will have been. This is a lesson, una lección para nosotros. Okay, let's continue to the second part of the future perfect lesson. Now, in my classes, I do a lot of stuff. First thing, we listen to music, but it depends on the students. I might not listen to music for classes. So for example, we go through the grammar lesson for that day. It will be really short. Then we do the practice, and then either we will watch a video or read a book that pertains to the lesson of that day. So we can read, I don't know, the Great Gatsby, for example, and we can read it, practice the pronunciation, and then look for the lesson that we were learning that day, meaning like we read it and see if we can find the past perfect or the future perfect or the present perfect. That's what we would do and try to understand how to use it. The next part of this lesson really is to watch the video and just discuss a little bit how it happens. So for example, this is a lesson. I have 2 videos. I have this one, and then I have the future perfect on YouTube. Look at this. Now, what we're talking about here is the future tense. This isn't the future perfect, but we're discuss. This video is discussing the future tense so that we can move towards future perfect. Okay, so that's a short video. It's not gonna show us all, but that's basically what it is. It's supposed to show when something is completed before a certain time. So that's future perfect. We have present perfect, past perfect, like you was describing, but it's normal. We do actually use the future perfect, and that's fine. It's actually normal when we use it. But perfect, when we do use perfect, we don't. It's not mostly use, but we will use it. I use it sometimes, but only for planning. So it is common, but it's also not common with certain people. The last video we're gonna watch, because the other one was really short and it wasn't a complete video, is with Go English, which is YouTube. Okay, so that's basically the gist of what um the future perfect tense is. My class pertains with a lot of listening, speaking, reading, and understanding. So by this time, I will have taught basically all the levels, the abilities, habilidades de aprendizaje de inglés. Soy un profesor de inglés, entonces me gusta enseñar cosas así. Yo tengo muchos jueguitos, por ejemplo. Por ejemplo, me gusta eso. Este jueguito, me gusta usar este mucho en la clase para hablar. Entonces practicamos el futuro, perfecto futuro usando tarjetas. ¿Cómo funcionas? Por ejemplo, tú puedes crear tus propios tarjetas y eso como motivan la gente o los estudiantes a hablar sobre este punto. Entonces, por ejemplo, danos un momento para hacer eso. Mira, entonces tenemos una tarjeta y hacemos una pregunta. Yo hago una pregunta con los estudiantes y ellos contestan. Y yo hacen todos los estudiantes para eso. Después, este punto, leemos, vamos a mirar qué libro tengo. No sé dónde está. Yo tengo aquí en un parte. Vamos, por ejemplo, aquí. Vamos a mirar si este libro, por ejemplo, tenía. Es en español, pero yo tengo libros en inglés. Pero eso es un ejemplo. Por ejemplo, vamos a mirar. Leemos el texto. No leemos textos religiosos. Leemos libros como los Crónicas de Narnia, El Viejo del Mar. Vamos a leer el libro de los Grimm Brothers, que son los novelas de como Cinderella, Snow White, Red Riding Hood, cosas así, libros así. Leemos en inglés, claro, el libro está en inglés. Leemos en inglés y ya. Y practicamos participando, hablando de dónde está este sentido en este libro. Y después de eso, hay otra cosa que me gusta usar bastante, es vocabulario. Entonces, yo tengo este sitio web que tienes vocabulario. Es un buen juego para hacer vocabulario. Entonces, mira, con este vocabulary list, podemos mirar. Mira eso. Mira, entonces, tenemos una, les vamos a mirar eso. Puede elegir un libro que tienes el vocabulario y podemos seleccionar. Mira eso. Entonces podemos hacer cualquier cosa, práctica, deletrear, cosas así. Vamos a mirar qué dice. Eso tienes 200 palabras. Tienes cinco listas. Mira, la palabra y qué significa. Una de estas son correctos, las otras no. Después eso es otra cosa. Y yo tengo de educación que tenemos cosas para aprender con todas las habilidades de inglés. Entonces me gusta usar eso también. Mira eso. Entonces tú puedes educación de jueguitos. Yo tengo Cambridge. Actividades. Este de educación es un jueguito para practicar gramática, cosas así. Cambridge, on the other hand, es como actividades de 5 de 10 minutos para practicar listening, vocabulario, mira eso, vocabulario y un poco de cosas, actividades. Vamos a mirar, escucha de leer, vocabulario, speaking. Mira, eso es. Mira, tienes vocabulario, escrito, pronunciación. Entonces, eso es otra cosa que me gusta. Pero tienes bastante cosas, pero ahora no está cagando. Pero sí, entonces mi clase de inglés es primero lección de gramática, después video o speaking, reading, por ejemplo. Entonces me gusta usar eso, también eso. Mira, todos estos. Entonces eso es mi clase. Antes fueron la primera clase, pues es un ejemplo, no es algo grande, porque por ejemplo, una hora no es tan rápido. Entonces, practicamos 10 minutos lección, después 10 minutos, hacemos como 20 minutos hablando y 30 minutos leyendo o practicando juegos. Entonces, la clase puede ser como eso. Entonces, eso es mi clase. Gracias por escucharme y también gracias por dejarme esta oportunidad de grabar una clase de un ejemplo para ustedes. I hope you guys have a good day and hopefully you guys can think of me in the selection.